Dr. Friedland, thank you very much for joining me for this Coffee with the Editor. You are going to be talking on a subject that I am quite, I don't know if the word passionate about is correct, but the fear of flying. So maybe put that into context, please.
Yeah, look, I would talk to you today about a fear of flying, or what a fear of flying is, and to really put it into context. A fear of flying really comes from a phobia, and we talk about people having anxiety around different types of things. In this case, the anxiety is around being on a plane and flying on a plane. And that can have multiple different types of reasons why somebody would have that phobia. I mean, on a plane, it's not just, I think a lot of us believe that it's just anxiety about a plane crashing, or that we feel that somebody feels the plane's going to go down, they might die. But there are other reasons as well. A lot of this has to do with a fear of being claustrophobic, potentially, a fear of heights up in there, fear of turbulence and what that means, a fear of being in a crowded place and like on a plane where you're around a lot of people and you can't move, a fear of being around a lot of people and doing something that's embarrassing, right? So you almost feel like you might have a panic attack and embarrass yourself, or that there's something really is wrong with you then, and there's no help. You're not in the air. You're not going to be able to get any type of help. So to put into context, it's anxiety around a plane, but there are multiple sort of reasons why somebody might get anxiety. And generally, anxiety for this probably goes into what we call panic, right? And panic is our fight or flight mode. It's like, get out of danger, there's danger, there's danger, get out of danger. So what'll happen, I guess, is we will either flight, so completely avoid the flying, or we'll go in the plane, but maybe somebody will use different types of strategies and different ways to manage that. Whereas, I don't know, I have a lot of drinks so that I sort of, I pass out, or I take sleeping pills and I pass out, or I take medication to numb that feeling, or I don't sit by the window if I've got a fear of heights. I try and take certain planes, bigger planes, not little planes. There are many ways that we try and manage that. And I guess that's what we're talking about, Fear of flying is about managing our emotions, and it's managing how we emotionally deal with being in a plane if we have some sort of panic and some sort of anxiety about
You're quite right. There are many different aspects to the fear of flying. For some, it starts like before you even get to the airport. And for others, it's just like, trying to get onto the plane is its own challenge in itself. So tell me how you're putting this program together and how you're going to be delivering it.
Yeah, so this is a program that I'm running in conjunction with Simuflight. And the idea behind the program is to do a comprehensive sort of course. It's really based on CBT, Cognitive Behavioural Therapy principle. The idea is to show somebody how to manage their emotions and then how to manage their emotions while flying. And the whole idea really is to show them different techniques in how to manage their thought processes, how to manage themselves physiologically, so the physical feelings that come up. But really what we do is exposure work. It's showing somebody how to get on a plane, even leading up to the plane ride, these type of things. And generally that's done through exposure work. Exposure work can be done with written exposure, so we can write things out, or imaginal exposure. So I imagine, getting to the airport or getting on a plane, and you'd be surprised how for somebody who has a fear of flying, how much anxiety that can bring up. And then we call what's called in vivo exposure, which is actually getting on the plane and flying. But in between the imaginal and the in vivo, we can take a step of actually sort of a simulation, which would be like a VR type of, you can get VR headsets that people put on, but at Simuflight, it's actually a flight simulator, and getting into the cockpit of a plane in a flight simulator, and it simulates the flight, and that is an exposure. And the idea really is that when we are fearful of something, we either put things in place, like I was saying, alcohol, medication, flying with somebody, not on our own, not flying near the window, those type of things. We put them into play to try and protect us. Or we avoid completely to try and protect us. But those things, they give us what's called short-term relief. And then what happens is it gives us short-term relief, but it reinforces in the brain that flying is a big, big, big danger. It's a massive danger. So therefore, the next time we confronted with having to fly, what then happens is almost we go, whoa, 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 it becomes even worse. This is dangerous. This is very, 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 very dangerous. Don't get on. And again, then we might avoid or use our strategies. And again, it long term builds the anxiety or the panic around flying. And that can perpetuate. So the idea really is to expose someone to being on the plane, letting them have those feelings that they have, acknowledging them, talk about them, what they are, and show them how to manage those feelings. And by doing that, we start to teach the brain that, okay, well, this isn't as bad as it is. It isn't as scary as I think, and it isn't as dangerous. The logical part of it is that flying is probably the safest form of transport. So, to show somebody that it is actually safe. So the course is a course that is done through Simuflight. It is a course that is run generally, I say generally, it's about 6 sessions. It could be 5. We have an extra one just on standby. Each session is about 3 or 4 hours long. Sometimes when we got the simulator, it's actually even a bit longer so that we give people time in the simulator. And the idea is that it just starts out, each session is something a little bit different. So we start with psychoeducation on emotions, psychoeducation on flying. Then we talk about ways and skills of how to manage ourselves physiologically. And that would be different types of skills that we would then practice. Then we would probably do sort of work around the cognitive work around it. And then we would do exposure work. So that exposure work would then be done on its own. We would start doing certain exposure work, and then obviously using the simulator. And then, you've got to get somebody on a plane. So after the course, it may be maybe their choice. They can go try and fly, and they can see how they go. Or if we have enough people, and I think I have to sort of, as if we have enough people, we may be able to sort of charter a plane and actually take a flight out somewhere, maybe go have lunch or something somewhere else and then come back. That would be something a bit different. But that's the idea really around the course. And that's hopefully how we can, try and help people who are struggling with this anxiety and this fear around flying.
Do you think there's so it's not, I think some people are like directly scared of flying and it's like quite intense. And you were speaking about the anxiety element earlier. And it sounds like anxiety actually generally plays a really large role in the kind of not wanting to fly aspect of things. So how in depth do you go into like managing that level of anxiety?
No, we go really into depth. I think the idea is really that is what we're tackling. Would be the core, the emotional part will be the core of the program. As I'm saying, the plane, flying is just the content. A plane's just a content. It's not really anything. I mean, so if that was the problem, we all wouldn't fly. Nobody would get on a plane, right? It is the content. It's actually the emotion that's linked to it that's the issue. So if you have a fear of spiders, it's not necessarily the spider, it's the emotion that's linked to the spider. Or a fear of heights, it's not the height, it's the emotion that's linked to the height. So we learn to manage those emotions. And we go in really in depth. I mean, I talk about it really like if I would in an individual therapy basis, and really sort of go really from the bottom and work our way up. And what is an emotion? What does emotion do? How does it help us? An emotion, how does it hinder us at times? How does it go from being helpful to hindering us? What are the aspects of the emotion? What does the emotion teach us? What does it drive us to do? All these type of things. So we actually get a grip of the actual emotion. And then it's learning how to regulate that emotion using planes as the way to regulate, using planes as the content to try and.
So the simulator is also quite interesting because like whilst it's different, it's almost the same as being in a plane, having been into one of their simulators, and having had that adverse effect. It was pretty real. Um, so would you be putting those who participate in this program into the simulator often? I mean, or I'm assuming it's all very well structured, but is it like a little bit, then a little bit, then a lot, or how are you structuring the integration of the simulator into your program?
So the simulator really will be one day. There'll be one day of the simulator. And actually, what we will do is we'll put somebody in a simulator once, but we're going to lead up to that process of being in the simulator. So I was saying earlier about those exposure work. We would lead up by doing written exposures, by doing imaginal exposures, by doing different types of exposures to gradually build our way up to get to the point of the simulator. The simulator also, if somebody's really struggling, what we can do is get them to come stand and look at the cockpit, the plane, right? And to then maybe sit down. And then slowly start to go up. And I think also depends where a person is at. But we can also make it a bit easier and a bit harder. So what I mean by that is we can make the simulator, we can make you flying in rain or in clouds, right? So you're flying and we make it a bit more difficult. We can simulate the takeoff, the landing, all of those type of things. But that what's great about it also is there will be somebody there, there'll be an instructor there who knows how to fly. So instructor who's also on the course with us. Um, I will be there. They will be around, just to help and to manage that. And you will have had all the skills. We've taught all those skills up until the point that you actually get into the flight simulator. I think, exposure work is definitely the way to manage it. But you can't just throw somebody into the simulator and say, listen, it's you build it. You know, sometimes it might work. Sometimes you expose them, somebody goes, okay, whoa, and they ride the wave of the emotion that comes down. They go, hey, I can deal with this. But a lot of times there has to be a bit of a build-up process. They have to understand what they're doing. They have to understand the emotions. They have to understand all these things, and then have cognitive techniques. They have to have physiological techniques in order to just sort of move them through the exposure phase. So yeah, it will be one day. It will be probably one. Each person will have their session in the simulator, but there'll be a lot of work building up, and then even after that, other work to continue the exposure work.
So where can people get further information on your program?
So people are more than welcome to email myself. Let us know sort of what that you're interested in the fear of flying course, and we'll send you information.
I just wondered, do you have any like statistics about like how many people are at any given time scared of heights or flying? Because I think the two kind of go together. I think it's a big thing.
The stats are about 2 to 5% of people who fly struggle with the fear of flying, and we're talking about like a debilitating fear of flying. The numbers go up to about 25% of people actually do get some sort of anxiety that is around flying, but it's not debilitating. But as a disorder, the fear of flying, probably 2 to 5% of the population. So it's a really big number.
Yeah, just considering how many people do fly and like probably under a little bit of duress. Or I suppose you would probably not have the job where you have to fly a lot if you're scared of it.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I think there are a lot of people who, one of the big reasons why they do want to deal with it is their jobs do require them flying a lot. And that's quite interesting also, is that they do need to be flying. If you didn't need to fly, actually, it wouldn't bother you at all. But I think we have a lot of family. People have a lot of family all over the world, so we are flying a lot more. People have work, and work is broad. So yes, we have like Zoom, and we have we can do online meetings, but obviously people want to be face to face. So people are traveling a lot for work as well. So this really can hinder people. and hinder them in their relationships with their families and in their day-to-day sort of work, so it can really be quite debilitating.
All of personal development, secure,